Thank you, Senator. Senator Carter for some questions.
Thank you, and this is for either one of you. I represent the greater New Orleans area, New Orleans, Jefferson, Plaquemines Parish, the West Bank of it. From my perspective, I see too many guns. I see gun problems. You know, we have guns nightly on the news. Do you see anything in this legislation that would limit the gun violence that we have in that area? Anything about this that helps reduce the number of gun violence or guns that we have in my area that I represent?
Right. No. So firstly, no. And thank you for your question. And I want to be careful because I think that we know there's a problem of gun violence we need to solve. And this bill's just divorced from that conversation. And so I don't know, right, if a concealed carry permit would have solved the white supremacist young man of Buffalo. However, what we do know is we don't have time to let gun violence get worse in Louisiana when current crime should be our focus. And so getting rid of the permitting system allows for the unintentional and the foolish and the irresponsible behavior because we don't have a standard for all Louisianans to carry. And that also wastes police time, law enforcement time, and wastes time that we could be intervening and working with young folks so they don't end up in the same path. So this is truly just a distraction on a yearly basis from the gun violence we see in like New Orleans, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, but then also the domestic violence and suicide we see in our rural areas as well.
And not only I don't see how this legislation help address the gun violence that we see in my area, but it's also my understanding from the local law enforcement officials that I hear from that they're opposed to this as well.
Right.
That it complicates their job. It makes their officers much more on alert for a simple traffic stop. They have to assume that the passengers of that car all have concealed weapons, and then there's no training accompanied with it that would inform someone who's carrying a weapon that they should make disclosures to the police, and this is proper usage, this is how you properly handle it, and this is the proper time to use a weapon and the limitations on that. Anything in here that address any of those concerns?
No. And if we want to talk about equity between black and brown folks, we have plenty of black and brown folks in the audience that are volunteers that I know that have ideas. But we need to be talking more along those lines of making sure that we're not putting more folks in interface with law enforcement unnecessarily. And if they're on high alert, that's more dangerous for black and brown people. If $120 is cost prohibitive, we can talk about a sliding scale, but we still need a requirement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Carter.